Flüster mir ins Ohr, was du darüber denkst. Kommen wir zwei heute noch zusammen, denn ich will dich so gern verführen. Flüster mir ins Ohr, ob du mir die Liebe schenkst. Ich möchte dich so gern so richtig nah bei mir spüren. Für mich ist heute alles noch viel stärker. Yeah. Komm, flüster mir ins Ohr.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but a year has passed since I bought my 1999 Porsche 911 for only $9,500, making it the cheapest running Porsche 911 in the United States at the time. This was my first purchase announcement ever in my new career as the internet's automotive idiot savant. Everyone did think I was lacking a few brain cells and overpaid for a car with 243,000 miles that was probably on its last legs and going to cost a small fortune to keep running. I initially set out to prove everyone wrong, but now here we are 1 year and something like $25,000 later. Ugh. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why. Why would I buy a super high mileage Porsche known for having an engine that grenades without warning? And even though it was the cheapest 911 in the USA, why didn't I pay $5,000 more for one with half the mileage? And the truth is that I was curious how much life it had left. It was also a one-owner car, serviced at the same shop for at least 15 years, and they were able to give me a full history. The infamous IMS bearing, the part that's famous for making the engine into a ticking bomb, had been replaced on this car twice with each clutch job. The car was perfectly maintained and used as a daily driver since it was new. It seemed like an interesting subject for articles, but I really didn't have plans to start making regular videos or certainly any of this LS swapping business. Mr. Sulu, set course for the TAVO system. Warp 9, engage. My sincere initial goal was to prove all the naysayers about this era of 911 wrong about them being total junk. I wanted to make a video of a dyno run just to prove that the engine sounded great, as well as was still putting out good power readings. Like I said before, I never planned on making regular videos. I just wanted to keep writing about my cars for anyone who would publish my incoherent ramblings. Then I finally got my foot in the door where I really wanted, at autotrader.com/oversteer, which link below is an article that will tell a lot more about my year with the Porsche. I made it into Oversteer primarily because I could make goofy videos like Doug DeMuro, and I think Doug finally got tired of my almost daily emails begging to come work for him. About a month ago, I debuted my car purchase to the world. It was the cheapest Porsche 911 for sale in my first Porsche video, hosted by Oversteer, had me taking the 911 to the drag strip, where despite my horrible driving skills, it put down respectable numbers. Around this time, I also had a compression test done showing the motor was still relatively healthy. During all of this, my Porsche videos began making the rounds on various websites, and I wrote a long article for Excellence magazine about it, and people began to take note. Water-cooled Porsche enthusiasts used my car as Exhibit A in their argument that these cars were actually reliable. It's been 6 months since I purchased the cheapest running Porsche 911 with a clean title in the USA. The high point of this chapter in my 911's previous life was a road trip to the Amelia Island Concours in Florida. Beforehand, I spent about $4,000 customizing with Fuchs wheels, a ducktail deck lid, the silly Apollo 911 side stripes, and I also did some preventative repairs. The car did fantastic, and the only thing showing its age was some oil consumption. After getting home, the next logical step was taking it to the track. And then things went horribly wrong.
Okay, bad noise.
In one moment, that shipped. In one moment, Apollo 911 went from being Exhibit A for the defense to Exhibit A for the prosecution, and the oil cooler in the car had overheated, a common issue with this engine, and dramatically decreased oil pressure. It is recommended that if anyone wants to track their 996, they should install an extra oil cooler, as failures like these happen when these cars were new. But also really stupid that I ignored the warning signs. If I had left the track the moment I noticed trouble, the original motor would probably still be running today. So the real failure wasn't the IMS bearing or the aged engine itself. Rather, it was another engineering flaw and pilot error. This led to another crazy decision, which was to swap an LS V8 into this car. I really wasn't a fan of motor swaps before, but this seemed to be what everyone wanted me to do. I swapped a used LS2 from a 2006 Corvette using a kit provided from a company specializing in these swaps, and spent $17,000 getting this done. My favorite part of this whole experience was introducing you to my personal hero, my mechanic David, the Car Wizard.
The Car Wizard.
I've had a few hiccups since the swap, which is something to be expected with a project of this magnitude. There were a few wiring issues to sort out. I had one of the exhaust gaskets blow out for some reason, and when the wizard was screwing in my Corvette throttle pedal, he accidentally wizarded his way through my gas tank with his drill. This was not noticed until I filled up for the first time, and 2/3 of the tank immediately leaked out through this new hole. But that's all fixed now, and as you can see from all the dead bugs on the front, I took my Porsche on its first big road trip since the swap, and my car now has 249,000 miles on it. Other than running out of gas once, as the fuel gauge is now not showing empty for some reason, it did fine and averaged a decent 18 miles per gallon over the 500-mile trip, and felt just as civilized as it did before its death. But I now have over 30 grand into this car, which could have bought me this, or this, or this, or this and this, or a small fleet of Hoovies. And I have plenty of people that have commented that my car is worthless now, and that's not really true. Before, my car would have fetched $7,000 or $8,000 as a parts car. Spending $17,000 on it seems stupid, since I could just buy another 911 for that kind of money and do this all over again. But hold on a minute. Whoever would have thought that I would have a sales comp for an LS2 Swap's high mileage 1999 Porsche 911? This twin to my car brought $26,000 at auction, and it didn't even have the air conditioning hooked up. So it's safe to say if I ever did decide to sell my car, I could recoup the $17,000 I put into the swap. So really, I'm only half an idiot. Of course, there will always be the purists who wouldn't want my car if it was free, and if you think that buyer of the other 911 accidentally put another zero behind his bid, or is probably the only other person in the world as stupid as me, hit that like button, and as always, thank you for watching.
And I love the Porsche because it goes bin Septembers. And it's the best because it's 4140. So, guess the answer.